Hello and welcome to another podcast, another quantum creating podcast. Once again, bringing the world of the formless into form and other true stories with me, Paul Webb, the quantum mentor. And you know, it's really interesting, but for me, the real scientific breakthrough of the 20th century was the discovery that this materially solid world around us, this world of form, isn't quite what we think it is, and that this solid and tangible stuff we see all around us everywhere we go is actually not solid and tangible at all, and is mostly made up of empty space and energy. And this energy at the subatomic level basically doesn't hardly exist at all. I'm sure you remember that old high school model of the atom where you had a block like a marble or ball bearing in the middle and all little pipes coming out and the orbits of the electron going around it. We're all familiar with that. And that's just such an old, outdated model. If you look now, you'd be better off just looking at nothing, because really that's what it is. Maybe a better interpretation for us who like visuals is to imagine a small pebble being dropped into a still pond and the waves, the energy rippling out, as more of a lifelike representation of what an atom really is. Another way of looking at it is to think of a tornado. Now, a tornado we see as a whirling vortex of energy with incredibly fast winds whipping around a centre. And the only reason we see that is because of the debris and dust that it gets pulled or sucked into it. If we were to extract that, we wouldn't see it at all, but that energy would certainly be there and we would feel it. We would feel it as it comes towards us. So that's really what the new paradigm is all about. That's really what quantum creating is about in many ways. And that for me has been the biggest scientific breakthrough. I know we can talk about all sorts of different things, but the understanding that the material world isn't what it seems, and that it's made up of energy, and it's made up of potentiality, and it's made up of possibilities, is an incredible breakthrough for us. Now, physics tells us that this energy exists in four different states. There are four different kinds of this fundamental energy. And again, we're going back to 101 physics in high school to talk about these fundamental forces. Now, I've got my notes because I want to make sure that I bring you this exactly as I researched it, exactly as I learned it for you, so I can be completely on the money for you people, you wonderful, wonderful magic makers. So the four forces are, let's go over them briefly. The first one is the strong force. Now, the strong force is a nuclear force, and it's to do with the binding of the material, if you like, at the nucleus of an atom. So your protons and neutrons are bound together in this attraction by the strong nuclear force. And if this force was any stronger, the universe wouldn't have existed at all. The gravity would have been so great that everything would have collapsed in on itself, and there would have been a huge black hole where the universe now stands, and I won't be here to explain it to you. And if the strong force was any weaker, then it wouldn't have had the gravity, it wouldn't have had the force to hold these subatomic particles together as in the nucleus of an atom, and everything would have flown apart and never coalesced into the universe we have now. So it's a very, very important force, the strong force. The weak force it's the energy of radioactive decay. So this is what brings about the transmutation of one element into another, so that when your star explodes and spills its guts into the universe as a supernova and all these heavier elements get formed, it's the weak force that is responsible for that. So again, a really important force, and giving it the title weak doesn't really do it justice, because it's really not weak at all. The next force you'll know all about is the force of gravity, obviously, unless you're a flat earther, but let's not go there today. So gravity fundamentally is the attraction between two things of mass, and the smaller is attracted to the centre of the larger. Because of the warping of the space-time that the weight of the bigger thing creates. We now know that thanks to general relativity and one Mr. Albert Einstein. Now, this acts on the macro scale, the big, and the micro scale at the same time. It doesn't distinguish between them. It just does its job. And the last force is electromagnetism. Now, this deals with the energy of charge, if you like. And this is a really interesting force because it was postulated for the longest time that electricity and magnetism were actually separate. And it was the work of William Maxwell, I think in the 19th century, who suggested that they were actually different manifestations of the same force. And it wasn't until 1905 and Einstein's special relativity that was shown to be the case. And that electricity and magnetism were one and the same thing, electromagnetism. In other words, light. So these four forces will govern what goes on in galaxies millions and millions and millions of light years away. But they will also govern what goes on inside your body. Exactly the same, just at a different scale, because obviously galaxies are huge and we are in relation very, very small. We don't really feel the effects of these forces. I mean, we don't really feel the effects of the strong and the weak nuclear forces. We feel the effect of gravity. That's the only one we really feel. And we are aware of electromagnetism only when we feel the sun's heat, or we switch on a light, or we get a static electric shock, or worse, unfortunately. So that's how we interact with these on a day-to-day basis. Now, there is an element of science that for the last 60, 70 or so years has theorized and has pretty much proven 99% of the way via mathematics that these forces are indeed just one force and they're different interpretations of the same force. There are a few questions about this that remain unanswered, so it's claimed that it's 99% of the way there, and it's called the unified field theory. And this single encompassing force, when it is proven conclusively, will be a huge jump forward, because we won't need to understand all the different forces. We will only need to focus on one, and that is electromagnetism. So, as I've already said, electromagnetism is the energy of light, and that's pretty much what everything in the universe is. Everything except these mysterious things called dark matter and dark energy. Now, the reason they're called dark is because they do not interact with light. They don't give off light and they don't absorb light, so they're invisible to us. Everything we see, including us, absorbs light and reflects or gives off light. And it's that interaction with light that enables us to see the things that are there in our visible universe. Dark matter we know exists because of the weight of the universe. If we add up all the matter in the universe, it's very much short of what it should be, so therefore there is something else giving weight to the universe, and that's called dark matter. And dark energy is this mysterious force that's overriding gravity and pulling the universe apart. So there was a big bang, the explosion, boom, and the universe sprung out. Now, without dark energy, gravity should win and pull it back into a big crunch. But it's not happening. The universe is actually expanding faster and faster. So there is something driving that, and that mysterious force is called dark energy. So that's the basics around that. Now, we're made of light, as I say, as is anything in the visible universe. And we vibrate, as does everything else. And what's interesting is that the word enlightenment, which is given to those people who transcend, let's say, their normal state of humanity, they become more spiritual, they become gurus, or whatever you want to call it, seers, they are said to be enlightened. And enlightenment means one with the light. So this is really, really interesting. In order for us to transcend our physical self, we have to become more light-like. All right? And that is for two reasons. One, because it means that our vibration will increase. We will vibrate at a higher level. And as you vibrate at a higher level, you start to attract more higher vibrationary matches back from the quantum field of possibility, where all possibilities exist at the same time. So it's really, really important to increase your vibration. You increase your vibration by changing the way you think about things, changing your language, changing your habits and your behavior so they align with your thoughts and your words, and taking new actions. And those new actions lead to new experiences and new results, which lead to new emotions, which flood your body with very, very, very impressive chemicals. And away we go again. And it works, and we go up and up and up and vibrate at higher levels. But if we don't, if we repeat the same, or we're driven by our feelings and our emotions, which are artifacts of past experiences, then we're thinking in the past, and we're actually pulling our vibratory rate downwards, and as such will attract more of what we don't want. So you can see how important this all is. Now, enlightenment also can be meaning becoming lighter. So when we suddenly start to vibrate at a much higher frequency, we get lighter, inverted commas. We become more energy and less matter. And this is metaphysical. It's not actually physical. You won't lose weight. But you may do, because you may change your diet, you may start exercising, and your weight might come off. But I'm talking in a metaphysical sense, not in a physical sense. So understand that all this stuff, all this science leads to one conclusion, that you are a being of light, exactly the same as a universe, and when you become more one with this light, you attract into your life that of higher energy. And who doesn't want to do that? So today I'm going to leave it at that. Bit more science into the quantum field, energies of light, increased vibration. You know what you've got to do. I will see you on the next podcast. And just before I go, it would be churlish of me not to mention that if you pop over to www.thequantummentor.com, you will see the registration for the next round of Creating Real Magic, in which we go deeper into these concepts. It's a free 10-day, over 2 weeks, you get the weekend off, Facebook challenge. Hundreds and hundreds of people have gone through this and changed their lives. You too can be one of them. Once again, www.thequantummentor.com. I will put the link in the show notes for you. We start on the 10th of September, Monday the 10th of September. All the details are on the website. I look forward to seeing you there. Goodbye for now.